It's time for the final portion of Are You Smarter Than LCS Coaches? NRG are trying to prove themselves against their own coaching staff. Last category are stats about the current season of LCS.
Okay.
Whoever wants to. Is there anyone that you want to style on?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
LCS history, I'm literally the history book.
This is not LCS history. This was current season stats.
Exactly. Everything.
Encyclopedia of knowledge. First question. This was before the start of the day, so it's probably changed a little bit. But
Get your hands behind your back.
oh yeah, cheater. Sorry. Who leads the league in DPM?
Berserker.
Not Berserker.
The encyclopedia has failed.
Jojo.
Jojo is not it. I'll give a hint. Okay. It wasn't AD carry.
Wild Turtle?
It's not Turtle.
What if it was FBI the entire time?
It's not FBI. No way. What? Blaming your own AD carry? Why couldn't it be FBI?
The way he's saying it makes me think it's FBI.
FBI.
Not FBI.
Oh, Tomo.
That was
That was his guess.
Yes, Tomo?
No, that's not our guys.
No.
It's miscommunication. This guy wasn't
miscommunication. That's why you need coaches. It's our turn now.
Give me a name.
Get Tomo.
Tomo, wrong.
It's Yone. Yone.
Yon is correct. All right, who's up next? Two more questions to go.
Okay.
Who wants to? I'll go.
Alrighty. Which laner, not a support, has the highest jungle proximity at 14 all games played?
I feel like I know this.
Go ahead.
Jojo.
It is Jojo, Pima.
Okay.
Jojo plays around mid.
Yeah, well, sometimes you need layups, apparently.
No, we're even.
5-5.
We're even. Because we were ahead and you got that.
All right, final question of the regular questions. Who leads the league in wards placed?
What did you say? What?
Which is not a player.
Oh.
Huhi.
It's not huhi.
I know. Let me deliberate.
Yeah, deliberate.
It's Ward's place, right?
Wards
Are we
placed.
happy with that answer?
Go for it.
We're going to say IgNar.
It is IgNar.
I watch IgNar Ward every game. I'm like, this guy's a madman.
That does it for the regular questions. We're going to have the ketchup experience next.
The
password is this right there, if you can type that in for me.
Do you know English? It's in English, not Australian.
Can you do it? You do it. So the way this is gonna work, it's going to be an essay. I will show you a screenshot, and you will have to tell me what you think will happen in as much detail as you want to get into. So, for example, maybe there's an Elder Dragon standoff, and I'll say, who do you think is gonna get Elder Dragon? You can predict and write as much as you want. You'll have about a minute to deliberate and come up with your little essay that you want to give me. You will then read it out loud, and I will give you a grade from 0 to 10, and that's how many points you'll get.
MLA format, proper punctuation.
All that.
Citations.
No. It doesn't even need to be English. It can be broken English as long as the thought is coherent.
Wait, Vicky, we can do it in Australian. That's what he said.
As long as I can understand what you're saying, it's fine. Now, on the desktop of these, you will see screenshots. I don't know what you're looking at.
He looked up ChatGPT.
It will not help you. I have screenshots on the desktops. So they'll be like Ketchup XP 1, 2, 3. Open the first one, look at it. I want you to tell me what's going to happen. These two champions are about to fight 1v1. Let's say about 2 minutes, actually, about a minute to think, and then a minute to write their answers down. The only reason you have to write it down is so that I know you're not just copying their answer if they go first. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, wait, who's in the lead?
We're in the league by 1.
You're in the lead. All right, you guys go first. Read to me what you think is going to happen.
We did MLA format.
I don't care.
In this 1v1, Jax will get engaged on by K'Sante with Q3. K'Sante will win, and K'Sante will ult the Jax, but it will be a 1-for-1 at the end.
Okay, calling a 1-for-1. All right, so now go ahead and read what you guys have.
All right, so what I got is K'Sante thinks he wins this, goes forward too far, up, maybe ults Jax's tower, like Jax's tower, starts taking some power shots and dies.
All right, those are the two ones.
Okay, we've lost.
We have an actual VoD for you guys to watch and react to.
All right.
Here we go. Let's play it. Production, take us through the 1v1.
Dude, I literally said that was gonna happen.
Not even
Well, I mean, we kind of called this. Yeah? Yeah?
Jax is not playing the
Go? Yes? No, okay, that didn't happen.
Oh.
Christian.
I mean,
I will give you guys 5 points for getting some of the initial trading right.
Yeah.
how much do we get?
You guys get like 2.
Oh, 2.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm giving you 2.
We'll take it.
Pity 2.
Not bad.
I'm a soft teacher. What can I say? Okay, you now can pull up your second example. Timer's on the clock. Walk through what you think's gonna happen. All right, players are gonna go first since coaches went first last time. Players, what do you think's gonna happen when we play this clip?
If you look at the mid condition, I feel like Silas doesn't have a lot of room to play. I mean, they both have ults. You have Exhaust Flash on Triss with Karthus hovering around mid first, so I feel like there's no way you'd ever lose a 2v2 in this situation unless you're very terribly bad.
So you think that the Triss side's gonna win?
Yeah, they win out
But
any
I think what's
fight.
going to happen too is Silas is going to try to insect Tristana.
Okay, give me what you guys have.
Silas will attempt an insect on Tristana. He will get exhausted, and then red side will eventually lose.
Red side will
Or the
eventually.
Silas will die.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead. Let's pull the clip up. We'll see.
Okay, come on.
What is he doing? I ate that. Come on, come on.
He's going to do it.
It's right. He's terrible.
That was perfect. I'll give a full 10 points to Gryffindor.
Okay.
You get 8.
8? Give him 7. Give him 7.
We literally said with 7. No, question, would 7 be tied?
Oh, so it's rigged.
6 would be tied. You guys get 6 points.
Nice.
17
kind of a
each.
hyphy.
Alrighty, go ahead and look at the third image. I want to ask, will this end attempt work? That is the question. You can focus on the outcome and then explain some reasoning why you think it'll get to that outcome. Coaches, it's your turn to go first. Tell me what you think's going to happen.
You can present. JDG will attempt an end here,
You're wrong.
but
He's seen the game for sure.
Yeah, he can mess with you.
But because red side only has 2 CS, Cassante will try to TP on one of the minions when they start going towards the Nexus turrets.
Okay.
Jax will then use his flash advantage that he has on the enemy Ahri and Rakan to delay the game long enough for his teammates to spawn. And because it's only 17 minutes into the game, they will not end the game.
All right, give me what you guys have for what you said.
They just
They will not end the game. They will attempt. Cassante will TP in, but instead of going for the end, I think that they will go for a fountain camp instead, playing for fun, and they will get 2 high feet, play for KDA, don't care about ending, try to style on them, and then some of them will die.
That's a ballsy prediction. Let's go ahead and pull up the replay to see what happens. They have 2 creeps up, like you said. Cassante teleport. On the creep that gets the cannon, or the turret aggro, not bad. Some points to coaches.
Jax,
Jax, do something.
what is this guy doing?
He's using his flash advantage. Look at him.
Oh my gosh.
Hyphy.
Okay.
I mean, they're stopping them.
Hey, there we go. That's what we said. Let's go.
Oh, we didn't. Oh.
I mean,
Wait.
You guys went for You guys went for the
Jax did not flash in, though. He flashed out.
The coaches at least did not say there was a Nexus camp. The coaches win in the end. I won't even aside points. They just had the better right of score. We got so much for playing. It came down to the end. We have confirmed NRG coaches smarter than their players. We'll see you guys next time.
Congrats to the NRG coaches for beating their own players, one of whom was Palafox, the subject of the latest Draw My Life. So draw my LCS life, Palafox. Christian Palafox was part of the famed 2017 NA Scouting Grounds class on Team Ocean Drake. That was also the Scouting Grounds class that included Blabber and Spica. He is from Redwood City, California, like his NRG teammate Contractz, and they actually attended rival high schools. In 2022, Palafox was known for taking naps in his nest in the attic of the CLG facility, which I think is still there. Outside of gaming, Palafox said that his favorite hobby is fishing. And now on NRG, Palafox is one of many NA mids looking to prove themselves in the LCS, and Palafox himself has been really outspoken about how sometimes you want to take nameplates off and look at how well certain team members are performing. He has really been lighting it up in NRG's wins recently, and to take us into game, we're going to have Flowers and Azael kicking off their first cast. If NRG wins, they lock playoffs.
Hell yeah, thank you, Emily. And today I learned that Palafox is actually Palafox's real name and his game name.
I would never have guessed that.
Neither would I. I just had to check with Azael before they tossed to us to make sure he wasn't actually lying to me this whole time, and his last name wasn't really Azael. But now we're here where it's Golden Guardians going up against NRG, and Golden Guardians, for those of y'all that might have missed the action yesterday, have completed an LCS first for themselves, breaking into the double digits for regular season wins in a split, hitting 10 with their victory over IMT.
Exactly. Despite the fact that they made it to, LCS championship finals, they never had gotten better than 9-9, and now they're looking really, really good. They feel like they have been improving consistently as a team, all the way from spring split to playoffs. There was a big leap in improvement then at MSI, and now coming back into the summer split, they're looking really, really good. So excited to see if they can continue climbing to the top of the table. As it is a pretty tight race up there now, like Cloud9 obviously up near the top. EG has been dropping some games, so it is Cloud9 and Golden Guardians right now, both at 10-4. EG 1 game back, and Liquid's at 9 wins as well. So there's a number of teams that could be actually contesting for that top spot.
I feel like so many times in the past in the LCS, there's always been 1 or 2 teams out in front, and out in front by a significant margin. And then we always have the soup or the pool or the slop or the melee or whatever you want to call it in the next 4 or 5. Yeah, just in the brawling zone. But this time, the brawling zone goes all the way to the top. So every single one of these wins is an opportunity to just get one of them edges up over your opponent here. Or the other question I have is, so when you accomplish something that you've never accomplished before, one of 2 things I feel like is bound to happen.
Yeah.
Thing number 1, you are invigorated, inspired, possessed by the lightning of victory, and now you are unstoppable. Number 2, fast and loose, run it down, pick what you want and see what happens.
Vacation time.
So, which one of those realities will we be getting for the Golden Guardians? That's what I can't wait to see.
Yeah, I think they're going to be pretty motivated to try to climb to the top of the table. These guys want to be winning a championship. They feel that they're good enough to do it. So I think that is what we're going to see. We have a delay on stage, something wrong with huhi's keyboard. Seems to be examining it. I don't know if he spilled something on it. I don't know if the connection is wrong. But he's fiddling with his keyboard, so we're just waiting on him. And as soon as he is ready, we will be going on into pick ban. Everyone's obviously in the game lobby, so just waiting to launch.
Okay, so he's got one of the smaller keyboards. Isaac, what's your stance on this smaller keyboard versus larger keyboard? I know some people are very impassioned on this subject.
My stance is I've never thought about it before.
Okay, cool. Because I kind of actually like the larger keyboard, because sometimes if I'm sitting there, I try to put the numbers in on the side and pretend like I'm an accountant. But you can't do that on the smaller ones.
I don't think I ever used the numpad.
I've tried using it. It actually makes it harder for what it's worth. I think it's just more difficult.
You just do it anyway. It makes you feel fancy.
It makes me feel like I should be sitting behind a mahogany desk calculating my interest rates or something.
Use the numpad. You're worth it.
Yeah,
you deserve to use the numpad.
Do a numpad experience. But I know there's some people out there that are just like, I really like this new keyboard, but it had a numpad on it. And so they just won't buy it. They need the smaller, more compact model.
I've used both. Back when I was still competing ages ago, we had some little mini ones that we got from SteelSeries, and it was kind of handy just for travel, because then it was smaller, right? You could take it around and whatnot, and it had the cord detached, whereas usually the full size ones, the cord doesn't kind of detach. So it was handy for packing up. I'll say that much. But honestly, I don't really notice any difference if I'm using them at my desk.
I feel like maybe if you're, because one thing that I learned when I got into like casting esports as a job and looking at the way things work in some of the other games is I noticed that professional FPS players, they have to get like a desk the size of Texas because the giant mouse their hand is all over the place.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're playing an FPS game, then maybe you want the smaller keyboard because it's less crap for your mouse to bumper car into.
True. I mean, some people have some crazy setups. I feel like, especially in FPS, it's actually really interesting seeing how some people play. I don't know if you ever watched any Quake back in the day. Like Quake is obviously pretty.
Oh no, that was before me. Back then, I don't even know if we had internet. That was back when I had to wait for my mom to get off her 2-hour phone calls with my aunts to get on the dial-up, man.
Okay. Well, Rafa, not the Rafa that we know. There's another Rafa who is like an absolute monster in competitive FPS in Quake, and he actually would play with his keyboard on his lap, and
really?
Yeah, his mouse is like centered in front of his body, and so he had like his hands like stacked, and his keyboard would be on his lap, and he was like the absolute goat of this game that was all about aim. So it's pretty interesting. There's stuff like that. You'll see some FPS players where they have their monitor pulled to the very front of the desk, even in Valorant, right? We were watching Valorant, and their face is practically touching the monitor, right? And it's like, these are some wacky setups.
If I am closer to the aiming mark, I can shoot gun better.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just interesting, right? It's like how people got used to playing. Even in League, one of the things that's common in League, and you'll see it with a lot of Korean players, and I don't know if this is just that, like the PCs that they had at home or in the PC cafes where they played, monitors maybe didn't have the like full-size resolution, but a lot of Korean pros will play on really small kind of boxed windows in the center of the screen, and so not actually using the full size of the screen. Sometimes people are playing like just a tiny little, you know, like 720 by 480 box in the middle of their monitor, even on the pro stage.
The thing that I always notice too, and it's not as prevalent these days because League's been around for a decade, but when League first started, I would get so confused watching some of the perspectives of other players because a bunch of them that came from like the old RTS scene where the minimap was on the other side, they would play with minimaps switched, and my eyes would always get confused on where they were supposed to go to look at the players'
I
maps.
cannot watch a stream that has the minimap on the other side.
It tilts me, bro. It tilts
me. I
me.
can't watch it. I'm sorry.
All right, but we finally made it into the draft, so let's get ourselves back on topic, shall we? It's Golden Guardians banning out junglers, and more junglers. Ivern, Sejuani, and Rel all taken off the table. Meanwhile, NRG are targeting the solo lanes. It's Rumble, LeBlanc, and Jace taken off of the pool.
Yeah, a lot of bans thrown towards the jungle. It's pretty interesting. It's going to be Kai'Sa first pick. Kai'Sa has really skyrocketed in priority. It's great in mid lane. It's great in bot lane. Very, very powerful. Pairing with Azael is also really nice. Just had the tape removed from your headset. I was staring at that tape the whole time. There was tape on top of your headset.
I had tape on my headset?
You did have tape on your headset.
Man,
I don't know if it was showing
bad.
on the camera, though.
Yeah, but let's...
Well, I don't know if it is your bad. Maybe it was on your head, and then it would be your bad. But if it was on the headset, I would say it's whoever was casting before you's bad.
Well, I don't know how it could have been on my head before I came in here. I feel like I would have noticed tape on my head.
Just putting it out there.
All right, well, we've got 80 carries locked in for both sides. Of course, Kai'Sa can be a mid laner as well, but we've got the Xayah picked up here for FBI, avoiding some of that dive potential. I like picking this early when you see that your enemy 80 carry or mid laner potentially is Kai'Sa, because Kai'Sa always is a big flashing light for we want to draft some more dive. She's great at diving in with the rest of her team compared to other similar marksmen. And so if you know you're going to be up against dive, Xayah's great.
Yeah, Xayah's great. Also Poppy, right? You know, when you're looking at dive, it's generally a lot of dashes. It's a lot of champions that are going to be flying on in there. Poppy can negate a lot of the dive, stop it with the W, knock people out with the ulti to be able to kind of have that turnaround in a fight. Nautilus coming through. With the Nautilus going bot, it definitely could be Kai'Sa bot, but of course, you know, we are seeing a tremendous amount of Kai'Sa mid, as you said. It seems to be definitely the more common role that is being played in. But when you look at Golden Guardians, Gori has not played a single marksman mid game yet. No Tristana, no Kai'Sa, despite the fact that they are both quite popular these days. And it is going to be another Jax game for Licorice. So looked quite good on it yesterday. I want to say it was against Solo that he actually blinded this, and it ended up being that Solo would play a Poppy into him. Of course, Poppy could be flexed towards top because it is a good matchup. I talked about that a lot yesterday. So it might end up being that, you know, this was initially intended to be a jungle Poppy, but you can just move that up towards top lane for Dhokla to give him a good matchup into the Jax. So going to be interesting to see where exactly they do take us. I also think with Azir coming through, Gori is one of the guys who will go towards Yone. So I do think that NRG have to watch out for, you know, potential counter picks there and maybe throw some bans towards mid lane.
Yep, and as we get into the second half of the bans, reminder, tickets are officially on sale for the LCS Championship in Newark, New Jersey on August 19th and 20th. You can head on over to Ticketmaster.com right now to claim your spot there. Hopefully, we'll get to see a bunch of y'all over there and have another good road show. They've been a lot of fun recently, but second half of the draft is targeting junglers here for NRG as Nocturne is banned away. River, one of the guys who's not afraid to get a little bit off the beaten path in terms of the meta picks and go for something like the Nocturne.
Yeah, absolutely. Could also just be Nautilus jungle, though. You know, there's so many flex picks right now that I do think it makes banning in the second phase really hard because you could throw a couple jungle bans. You're like, we got him. But then he's just playing Nautilus jungle. So we will see exactly where they're going to go. You know, if I am NRG, I still think you're probably going to ban Yone. I would be concerned about it because I definitely think you could just send Kai'Sa Nautilus bot and then avoid that Yone matchup because Gori is one of the guys who will play it. And it is very difficult for Palafox on that Azir if he is to have to end up going for that Yone, but it is going to be another jungle ban. So yeah, we're going to find out, you know, if my kind of read on it is correct or if it is going to be more of a more standard mid lane matchup, if it is going to be that Kai'Sa mid.
I mean, NRG are convinced that is not jungle Nautilus, willing to invest not one, but both of the bans into the jungle instead. Renekton will be the other ban here from Golden Guardians. They banned out the Rakan too, so they're forcing the breakup in the bottom lane. None of the synergy between those two. Curious what NRG is going to go for first here.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? And when NRG has already banned out Rumble, I think banning out Renekton makes sense as a response because that sometimes is going to be something that is going to really kind of like open up for you to play that. GP would be interesting. Not going to get locked in just yet, so we'll see where they want to go with it. We did see Rich play GP the other day as an answer into Renekton, so now it's going to be Dhokla bringing out the GP as an answer into the Jax. So it will be jungle Poppy, not going to be flex up the top like what happened to Licorice yesterday. Instead, it will be that Gangplank answer, which can be pretty effective. You know, a lot of it is in these matchups just about getting the push for the Jax, because you don't want to stay in a long extended lane where you're getting constantly poked down by the Qs here from the Gangplank. And it is that Yone that I was talking about. Yeah. This is something I really did feel like NRG needed to ban on red side, because I think it's easy to actually flex the Kai'Sa down towards bot. Stixxay is one of the guys who's also really down to play these sorts of picks, and it is going to be jungle Nautilus, right? So their bans have been pretty much completely nullified here. Stixxay, you know, when Tristan mid is popular, he's still willing to actually take that down towards bot lane. And when Kai'Sa mid is popular, he's still willing to play that in bot lane as well. So the draft has been fully rounded out. And now we just need the support pick here on NRG's side. Alistar becoming quite popular is going to get locked in here.
Alistar versus Leona. Lots of engaged potential on both sides here. Lots of tankiness potential on both sides from this support role. Poppy in the jungle for Contractz. This can do so much if you can manage to knock guys out of those dashes. There's plenty of dashes to stop here for Contractz with the steadfast presence.
All
in
five
this game.
actually have one.
Dredge line, leap strike.
Kai'Sa's ultimate.
Kai'Sa's ultimate, which is one of the ultimates that's not actually unstoppable in its flight. There's a lot of ultimates in League that are, but that's one of the ones that isn't. Yone Q3. Of course, Yone's snapback on the Soul Unbound is always going to go wherever it wants to go. That goes through anything, including Skarner's ult. I can tell you that. But
the look of anger, of absolute fury in your eyes. You know, that's an interaction that is existing in the game.
That truly
crushing the bottle in your
present
hand.
in League of Legends. But yeah, and then Zenith Blade for Leona is a big one, because Zenith Blade is so slow and telegraphed. It's very easy for Steadfast Presence to be able to block Leona's entrance.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's also just so much engaged though on the Golden Guardian side. You know, yes, you have the Alistar to start fights out. Yes, you have an Azir who can look for those shuffles. You can drop down the GP ultimate, try to slow them down, then look for an engage off of that. But there is Nautilus ult. There is, you know, flanked from Licorice. There is the ultimate in from Gori. There's, you know, Zenith Blade as well as the ultimate from Leona. There's so many tools to start fights. There's also a tremendous amount of CC, you know, with all of these other teammates that Stixxay has. So Plasma is going to get applied very, very heavily. There's always going to be access to the backline. And it also does really amp up your damage, you know, especially with these AP builds. The passive proc can do so much damage. And, you know, later on in the game, the fact that they're actually applying Plasma and ramping up how quickly you're proccing those can be pretty incredible. You know, I was playing a game the other day where I was playing, I can't even remember. I think I was playing like Ornn or something like that. Okay. And we had a late game team fight. I took 3,500 damage from Kai'Sa passive.
That's quite an impressive amount of damage.
Yeah, I was actually completely shocked. Maybe the death recap was trolling me, because that does happen.
Yeah. Ooh, River flashing over the wall nice and early, going to force that out of IgNar as well. But one thing to take note of, it's not as potentially impactful for these two as it would be if it was another champion involved, because they are both running a Hex Flash. The jungle Nautilus as well as the support Alistar are two of the better users of that rune. So still, you'd prefer to have the normal one, but you're not completely out of gas.
That was pretty crazy, though. I mean, he just straight up walked into that side brush, flashed into it, and then Hex flashed over the other wall, right? So he hard committed his flash
He's ready
for
to
this,
go, bro.
right? Like, no fear. He was just going for it. I don't really know that it was worth it.
I like it.
I respect it. I respect it a lot.
That's
a different question than if it was worth it, though.
Do you remember what I said about fast and loose?
You aren't wrong. He did use a flash here at level 1. I mean, he got the support flash, but I think it's kind of cool, right? It's one of those things where it's like, who's gonna do that? Who's gonna expect that the guy, his flash wasn't on cooldown and then he went and hex flashed in the brush. He just flashed over the wall and then hex flashed over the other wall, right? Like, yeah. So some pretty cool stuff. Had there been, you know, someone who wasn't necessarily paying that much attention, maybe they get caught out. Maybe they do actually lose more than the flash, and then it can really be worth it. But level 1s, I will say, have really kind of been the name of the game over this last week or two. I was talking to some pros, and a number of different pros have been saying that this is really a trend in scrims as well, that people are getting way more aggressive in level 1s. You know, we saw, like, for the first time that I can ever remember in all the years that I have cast LCS, and this is my 8th year of LCS, I can never remember a full-on 5v5 level 1 at a red buff. Like, I can't remember that. I've seen that in scrims, I've seen that in solo queue, but to have both the top laners coming down and actually fighting at a red buff was kind of crazy. We had that in the TL game the other day, where they then lost the smite fight and it went really bad. It was actually against Golden Guardians. That was the game where Gori, no, was it? Excuse me, it was EG. It was EG versus Golden Guardians, because it was our
the full level 1 send.
Yeah. But we've had like a lot more of these really aggressive level 1s where people are willing to do these like kind of high risk, high reward plays, just trying to mix it up and surprise their opponents. And I think there's kind of just a general feeling that people were getting too lackadaisical with their level 1s, and they were playing level 1s that could be abused. They weren't actually, you know, being as rock solid. So people were like, hey, we're going to get more aggressive and see if we can find some kills, make some things happen.
I love that kind of ideology in League of Legends, especially because historically, when you look at North America, one of the criticisms the region has fallen under is they play too passive early. They're trusting too much in the fact that they'll just beat you later on. And so then when they play against teams from other regions, they can get caught out, essentially, because they're like, oh, well, we can't just count on that anymore. We need to play crazier early. So maybe this is here. Maybe my tinfoil hat theory is North American teams heard that and they're like, fine, you want to see what aggressive early looks like? Everybody gets one ability and a potion, and we're just gonna go till somebody dies.
Perfect. I love it. I'm down for it.
I would be totally okay if that became our region's identity.
Yeah.
If you're up against a North American
Send
team
it at level 1.
you are gonna fight level 1.
See you at the Baron pit, bro. 5v5.
huhi with the flash in, going after FBI. Hitting level 2 first means that the Golden Guardians have the ability to just immediately bring the pressure on the NRG 2v2.
Look at this double Hex Flash. They got the River Hex Flash, they got the huhi Hex Flash, so they're willing to go for it. Contractz is clearing top towards bot. Did red, did Raptors. Down here now doing the Gromp. Hits a level 3 with that. As River going to be playing around mid. Is not spotted, so there is potential that they could look for a bit of an aggressive play.
Ooh, nicely done there. Flash coming out from Contractz to guarantee the stun up into the wall, and first blood for NRG and FBI as huhi is CC'd nearly 100-0 before we can respond, and because there's no flash left, he's way too low to get out.
Yep, he used that flash aggressively earlier on FBI, did get the cleanse, but then Contractz gets down there to punish. They had no river wards, so it is a pretty easy gang to make happen there from NRG. Nicely done by them. As back towards this top side again, you know, Licorice needs to be able to kind of reset the wave. You don't want to get trapped in these long extended fights. But yeah, there was just no river ward down, and then it's a bit of anti-timing as huhi was stepping forward to actually look for it right as Contractz arrives. They do spot him. Stixxay tries to flash, you know, is still caught in that combo, but it is huhi who is of course the target, and they do end up bursting him down.
Yes, I feel like if Stixxay doesn't flash that early, he's the target instead. So obviously you never want to lose anybody, but I guess the silver lining you can take here for Golden Guardians is, hey, at least it wasn't our AD carry. Now Contractz looking to cause some more trouble, this time in mid lane, but unfortunately for him, Gori's not going to give him the angle, and he does not have the flash to immediately reposition for that wallbang.
But at the very least, he's actually helping Palafox get this pushed out. River's here, so we'll see if they want to try to take the 2v2. I think Gori's kind of too chunked, but with Palafox your wave starts getting really bad, right? Because you're playing against a resourceless champion in the Yone, so this is where you do need jungle help. And pros are so adept at actually playing around these matchups where, you know, in solo queue you might just be hung out to dry, but Contractz just shows up, fixes the wave for him, and as a result, Palafox gets a free base, and then River forces the flash again up on top.
That was low investment, high payoff there for River. You just walk top, press Q one time, guy's flash is gone. You love to see it.
And this kind of bails out Licorice because, again, you know, he was getting a little bit lower on resources. As you start to run out of mana, you're getting poked down, your push gets slow, so he just wants to get this fully shoved in, is going to be able to do that. Dhokla won't be able to fully hold that wave. It is way too fat, and right after you TP back, you can't afford to actually tank up that wave. You'll just take way too much damage with your next wave being that far away. So good job for them on the top side. And the base is going to be that much better from Licorice because he went back with 38 CS. Dhokla went back with only about 22. So he is going to come back with, you know, a much nicer buy. They both have the Sheen. He has the Doran's Blade and the boots.
And the boots
compared to just that longsword.
The boots, especially with the flash not being there on a champion that also does not have built-in mobility. Obviously, you can get speed from detonating the barrels and whatnot.
Yep.
But this is going to open up a window for Licorice to potentially be very aggressive if he has the opening.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's really important in these kind of matchups because Jax wants to be able to threaten, you know, the all-in or extended trades where GP just wants to basically Q you, back off. Hit you with a barrel, back off. Like, he doesn't really want a long extended trade where Jax is going to have that success. So having the mobility with those boots early on here in this matchup is definitely pretty helpful. But down on the bot side, we know was that early kill given to FBI, and now Contractz is here, is hanging around. They could use this time just go over towards the dragon. Definitely may be the look. They're going to clear out some vision, but they will be pulling that dragon, and we'll see if Golden Guardians do want to respond, because Gori's moving down from mid lane, so there is potential for a fight.
Yeah, they wanted to start this off, but huhi's ready to engage now instead. IgNar's the target of Stixxay, pours out the Acathian rain damage, but huhi's got to back away. He's ignited, and the cannon barrage from Gangplank is going to turn the fight back in the favor of NRG. FBI with a flash forward takes down the enemy support, and Golden Guardians end up losing a man. Now River might try to get something back. He's got Gori coming in. Flash into the lockdown here with a passive auto attack. Dredgeline's not going to find FBI because Contractz stands in the way. IgNar wants to try to peel for these guys, but they got to be careful. River is down, but they'll trade him away for Contractz. Jungler for jungler in the 3v3 scrap as Gori finds Q3 on FBI, but he won't overcommit.
Nicely done here by NRG, kind of outplaying in that situation. The GP ulti made such a difference in that initial skirmish. And then they're able to use that additional damage, turn it around. You know, the team couldn't actually fight through that GP ulti. It kind of split them up. River and Stixxay are on the left side. GP ulti comes down, and they don't want to just walk forward into it, right? So it ends up in this situation where huhi's trying to run down away from it. He actually does get the stun up, and then over on the other side, Gori was kind of just hunting for Palafox, does find him as he's trying to move down through the river, uses the ulti on him, does push him back. It's just a trade of ult for ult. But NRG did such a good job, you know, from this scenario where their mid laner cannot match. It's a flash forward there from River, but the disengage headbutt from IgNar buys a lot of time. And then, yes, they do finally actually get this kill onto Contractz, but not before they get another one back there onto River.
And I like what we saw at the very beginning of the replay, just the quick cut up to the 1v1 in mid showing why Fate Sealed wasn't there. Because I think if Yone does have the Fate Sealed, it's 2 kills picked up instead of 1 for them, and they don't even have to trade 1 back. So pretty important cooldown to not have available in that fight. Golden Guardians now down 1 versus 3. NRG not even up the expected 600 gold value of their 2-kill lead, though. So you can attribute a lot of that, and I mean a lot of it, to the farm lead up here in the top lane.
Yeah, Licorice has just been having such a good split. I do think, you know, he's going to be in the conversation for best top laner in the league, for first team All-Pro. Had a great individual performance at MSI, you know, getting solo kills on some of the top laners in the world. Was on fire in playoffs in spring for Golden Guardians as well, and has kind of just continued on that form. Has really been able to kind of not take a foot backwards. Has been looking so good for the team.
And I love that evolution for him, because for the longest time, this story for Licorice was he was on a Cloud9 team that was doing really well, that was winning splits, that was at the top of the table. He leaves that Cloud9 team and was just chasing the glory ever since. He could not regain that same level. He had a couple of splits where he was really struggling, and now this year, with Golden Guardians' resurgence in spring, a huge part of that was him. Gori, nice job there using the Soul Unbound to get away from the potential shuffle of Palafox, but now they got Contractz swooping in there. Gori's got to try to flash away to stay alive. huhi with a little bit of protection. Gori jumps back in, but continues to get out. So that means Golden Guardians aren't going to lose their mid laner, but it does lose his flash. Contractz on this Poppy, constantly trying to be a menace here with these angles.
Yeah, it does trade the flash in with Contractz. He gets the ulti off of Contractz as well. But Contractz is going to look for the Heck Flash in again. They were trying to see if they could catch huhi slipping there. But yeah, I mean, back to Licorice, it's been so interesting to watch his growth, because it is kind of a meteoric rise. Because even back at the beginning of spring, I thought he was playing really poorly for Golden Guardians. You know, it wasn't even just that he was good this whole year long. He wasn't doing very well until kind of towards the end of the split. He started to really pick it up. And then in playoffs, where they swapped him over onto carries, and it became this big story that I believe originated when they were actually playing against 100 Thieves, where, you know, he was talking to his coaches and he's saying, is Closer ever coming top? And they're like, no, he's not really looking top at all. So he's like, okay, I want to play carries for the rest of the series. And he's bringing out Olaf, and he's bringing out all these different picks, and it's just completely changed the identity of the team to where they're giving counterpick to Licorice. They're putting faith in him to be able to carry the game. And he has been able to make it happen, and now Dhokla here gonna be in some trouble.
All right, they're going for the dive, but Dhokla already cleared the wave. Dhokla eating the fruits right before Licorice finds the damage on him, but now it'll be traded 1-for-1. Golden Guardians not quite having the burst they needed there. The minions being eliminated at the very start gave the turret the extra firing time on valuable targets to guarantee that Dhokla would trade even on that one.
Yeah, gonna be able to trade one back. Doesn't even lose any minions, really, because he had cleared out the wave, as you say. And then it's very difficult to actually just dive through the GP ult. Makes things tough. I don't know if River could have got a little bit more damage down before backing out of that tower range. It is, of course, difficult to do when you're slowed up by that GP ult, but, you know, River basically just did his ult and no other damage, I think, whatsoever, and then just was kind of standing on the edge of that turret aggro. And at the end of the day, it did mean Licorice does go down. Still not a bad dive because you also get Palafox roaming up towards top, which meant they got a plate down in mid lane, and there was going to be some CC missed there. So they started off with the ulti there from River, but he can't get in for any more follow-up damage. The orange buys some time. The potion is running as well for Dhokla. And at the end of the day, Licorice has to flash forward to even get that final hit for the kill. It was really close to him actually just dying to the GP ult.
Yeah, it looked like they ended up getting +1 extra tower shots from the minions being cleared away instantly, because when Nautilus marks you with the ultimate, it does not deal any damage. You're not immediately going to get the turret aggro. So if there would have been a minion there, I think it would have been one less turret shot that could have changed things. So the barrel clear playing a huge role as Dhokla chases after Licorice, fires that bullet at him, forces out the counter strike. Dhokla doing a pretty good job hanging on as good as he can up here, considering the state of things, having lost that flash earlier, what we described about the lane state being hard to play from that point. But back in mid lane, Gori versus Palafox. Remember the Yone counter pick into the Azir that you were talking about. You're supposed to shut this pick down, make life hard for Azir to want to scale up the way that he normally wants to. And now, Gori with the fate sealed. Palafox using the Emperor's Divide, both ultimates coming out in the trade, and it's Palafox who comes out on top. He's looking pretty comfortable in this 1v1.
He absolutely is, and I do think the team is playing well around him. Contractz has kind of been here constantly. I don't know if Gori would have felt confident to continue taking that fight, but
oh boy,
Dhokla likely die.
Yeah, the flash coming out from River there as they're looking to lock this guy down. Contractz wanted to see if he could help, but man, it's just not happening. He's way too far away from the turret. Gori going in again, finds the Q3 knockup onto Palafox, trading very heavily, very aggressively on this Azir. Not quite enough to kill him off, though.
Yeah, that was really close, but I just wasn't sure if Gori would have actually stayed in to continue that fight had Palafox not showed up behind him. So has been a good job, and Contractz now playing with fire a little bit, but we'll be able to walk it out with the phase rush.
You got to be careful. Phase rush gets him away in time. If huhi would have been able to lock him down for just a second there, River could have showed up, provided a little bit more, maybe to get the kill, but not going to happen today. First turret falls up in top lane, and the Herald may just get the charge onto the tier 2. Nice stop on the back there from FBI. Stixxay hitting those long-range shots to guarantee that you're going to mess up that tempo a little bit. And now with huhi and River coming down, they've walked over a ward, so NRG knows not to give them this opportunity.
Yeah, they won't be committing to anything too much, but yeah, as you say, Licorice able to get that tower on top side with the Herald charge. It didn't get a charge on the tier 2, but Licorice got the kill on the dive and got another kill when they actually revisited just a few minutes later. So now is sitting on the 2 kills. He's up over 1,000 gold ahead of Dhokla, thanks to that attention that his team has paid up there, and we'll see what he can get done with it. If Dhokla can't actually walk forward and kind of safely farm out in this lane, it gets really tough because he's already lost his tier 1 tower, so you don't have that kind of bastion of safety.
Yeah.
And if you're going to allow him to push all the way to your tier 2 for free, then you can start losing access to the topside jungle as Contractz, and that can start to really snowball the game in the other direction.
So we have first items coming online, getting completed here for a lot of champions. Crown of the Shattered Queen on Azir, often a subject of discussion and debate on when and where this is appropriate, if it's appropriate. I think that this is probably one of the better situations to have it. The enemy team is very dive heavy, and they also don't have reliable tools to poke it off, right? Like Jax and Nautilus have to commit to poke it off. Yone can try to do a soul unbound W to try to poke it. And other than that, it's just dodge Kai'Sa Ws. If you can do that, then you can make sure that you have that passive for it ready to go when you actually need it.
And that's generally my thought on this item is just, it's situational, right? And it depends on how you're able to play around it. If you can keep that passive ability up, like that damage reduction up for when they hard engage, it is really, really high value. But if you let it get poked off by some garbage, then it has no value at all, right? Like if you're standing too close to even a wave, in a meta with a lot of static shifts, you have to actually really be careful about how you're even clearing out waves.
Right.
Because if you walk up too close to wave, the shiv just bounces to you, you lose that. You can also lose things like bone plating to shiv proc. So it is something they have to be really careful about, but they're going to engage on bot side.
IgNar with a flash headbutt looks to knock up River and huhi, but it won't get Stixxay. He's the value target. River is not tanky enough to survive with FBI finding the flank angle here too. Stixxay popping the heal to disengage as Gori goes in for a multi-man. Fate sealed, and IgNar's going to drop to Stixxay. Gori has to snap back, and Palafox flashes away to try to avoid some more damage. Contractz and FBI also falling back underneath the tier 1 turret. Golden Guardians bringing down Licorice for the party.
Yeah, it's a double TP down to the bot side, but for now, it's just a 1-for-1, right? So not really that worthwhile. GP is going to potentially get a full tower on bot side, so they're going to look for a dive.
They're going in. They already found the first there on the Palafox. FBI drops now as Gori's continuing to apply that damage, and Contractz goes back between the wall and the turret. One more hit will take him down, and Licorice gets it done. Counter-Strike won't protect him from the fire back of the turret, but it's still going to be a good play for the Golden Guardians. They're still almost going to force this turret down and make it an even trade on turrets with the Gangplank in top.
Yeah, that's great for Golden Guardians. They needed to force 4 more from this situation because GP was going to be left alone on top side, and River not going to be able to prevent the tower from going down. So it is that tower trade at the end of the day, but they get the additional kills on bot side. They commit the double TP, so they needed to get something good for that. And they are able to do it. FBI, though, getting pretty fed off this. Does have 3 kills now to his name. They got the shutdown on Licorice as well, so we can watch it one more time. It's the flash in, the double combo there, hitting both River and huhi. FBI shows up. He's pushing Stixxay out. They have the GP ulti from cross map, but a quick double TP comes through from Golden Guardians, and Gori finds the big ulti across 3-4 members. I think it actually got all 4, except FBI gets his ulti up, so would have got him, ends up hitting 3 at the end of the day. Licorice comes in with the counter-strike, not able to really close the gap onto Palafox, so back to live.
Back to live. We already got another dive. It's Gori killing off FBI with Licorice's counter-strike locking down IgNar, but the ulti keeps Alistar alive through the burst. Golden Guardians are not taking their foot off the gas pedal here. They want to keep the pressure on energy now that they have this nearly 3,000 gold lead. But Palafox comes in with the Emperor's Divide. huhi tries to outplay it with a Zenith Blade, but it will not happen. Gori's got to try to disengage himself from this yet again, as he doesn't have a lot of HP to work with, and that Gangplank ulti means this fight isn't going any further forward for the Golden Guardians. Not here, not yet. Rift Herald summoned up in the mid lane. Dhokla wants to try to kill it off before it can charge, but it's so close that won't be happening. Not quite enough damage to kill the turret from the charge alone, so the tier 1 mid stays standing for energy with a sliver of health.
Yeah, just barely able to keep that alive. One more swipe from Shelly probably would have done it. You know, they wanted to drop a mid, move over towards that dragon, but they didn't actually have the HP to do it, so they are going to reset, likely push out through mid, potentially try to finish off that tower, then look to go grab that dragon. It is a mountain dragon second, so there are no quick souls on the table in this one, but still going to be a pretty high priority, I think, for both teams.
2,000 gold for Golden Guardians feels pretty good at 18 minutes, but it's not something that you can count on just winning the game from on its own. Because of Licorice's decision to get more involved in the team fights, more involved in the other side of the map, Dhokla has not only caught up in the farm that he was down earlier, he has passed him up here with a Gangplank, and remember, it's even more valuable than normal on him because of the passive gold generation the champion has when killing things off with the parlay. As NRG are going to start up the Drake. They've got the only one taken so far in the game for themselves with that first Ocean. It is a very slow Drake game overall, so don't be expecting any early win cons through Soul. Dhokla versus Gori in the bottom lane isn't much of a 1v1 as Dhokla loses half HP with no real meaningful damage dealt back to the other side. Golden Guardians trying to go in here for the Drake, but it's going to be secured by NRG, who will have to sacrifice IgNar, it seems. Licorice chasing after him. No flash available on the cow, so the Jacks should get this done pretty easily. Plus 300 for Licorice.
Yep, going to be able to get it. It was a nice ejection there from Contractz onto Stixxay. Pushes him back, helps them to secure that dragon, and now huhi potentially in some trouble.
huhi trying to lead the way here for the rest of the team for Golden Guardians. Contractz stuck in the middle, but the phase rush again getting Poppy out of danger. Gori wants to go in with a Fate Seal, but he does not connect on the target, and it means they will not secure the kill. Golden Guardians, however, still maintains control over the enemy bot side jungle. Still maintains the push in the bottom lane. They'll crash the wave into the tier 2 turret. That 2,000 gold lead I mentioned about 60 seconds ago, 3.5 now.
Yeah, it's looking really good for Golden Guardians. NRG, at the very least, do grab the dragon, though, which can be big against these split push style teams. And you want to force them to group. You want to be able to make them fight on your terms. And that is what the soul threat can do for your squad. But it is Licorice going the exact same build that he went towards yesterday. Sterix second. He's really valuing the tankiness that brings. It does kind of indicate that he wants to go more for the 5v5s as well. Yes, he's still going to play through sides, push out the waves, but he has an early stopwatch. He has that Sterix. He's going to be pretty tanky. You can throw yourself into the back line towards a target like Palafox or FBI. Try to push them out of the fight. and just be able to actually sustain and not get burst down. You know, you're taking yourself out of the fight, but you're kind of taking them out as well, which is creating space for Gori and Stixxay to be the true carries.
Steric's Gauge is one of those interesting items that, remember, for a long time, it defined the Bruiser build path, really.
Yeah.
It was second item built on pretty much everybody. Fell out of favor for quite a while, but the power of that shield, if you're not used to playing against it for a while, it's one of those things that feels like more of a rarity instead of a certainty, can really cause you to miscalculate your damage and your burst potential in a fight.
Absolutely. I mean, especially when you're taking into consideration a counter-strike as well as the ulti, giving it additional resistances. He has a lot of health, right? He's sitting on 2,600 health right now. River is, 2,100. Poppy's about 2,200. So he's the tankiest guy in the game right now, for sure. It's going to be pretty difficult to be able to knock down. And we're trying to see if there was any sort of an angle to look around that Baron, trying to control vision in the area and have that as a threat. But is a TP getting committed down towards bot side? This is just one of those temporary Azir towers, so they're trying to look for Palafox.
Gori charging up the third Q so he can jump over the wall. Palafox has already flashed away. Crown of the Shattered Queen's going to protect him from Gori's initial burst, so he takes almost no damage. But that missing summoner spell, NRG are going to be noticing that one here. That's 5 minutes without the playmaking opportunities that would provide.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not going to be able to have that. And about the same cooldown on the ultis, so it is going to be just an even trade on those ultimates. NRG, though, can't really force anything on the other side of the map, despite the fact that multiple members were committed down towards that bot side. It's just going to make it way more difficult for Palafox to play through those side lanes. He doesn't really want to be the one to do it, but you have a Yone and you have a Jax, so they can play 1-3-1 very effectively. Both these guys are great at split pushing. Yes, Dhokla can answer in a side lane himself, but he has to be careful that he doesn't get chased down. And an Azir with no flash, no ulti could absolutely get run down by the Jax or the Yone if he's not careful.
Both of our top laners also currently with stopwatch available. We were talking about Jax's survivability, so important to note both of those. Considering they both have such high damage potential for top laners, it's more appealing to maybe focus them down in a team fight if you get the option, but that's one of those things that can really flip things on their head, especially when both these teams have shown that they're not afraid to get scrappy in this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do always like it. I mean, late game on Jax, when you have a lot of CDR, the cooldowns start getting really low. But, earlier on in the game, times like this, you can kind of jump into the back line, use your first Counter-Strike, you come out of the Counter-Strike, then you go into the stopwatch, you come into the stopwatch, guess what? Your Counter-Strike's coming back.
Ready to go.
Right? So that really does make it very difficult to actually knock you down. And I do think people also often forget, just like how tanky Jax is if you're hitting a multi-man ult and being able to get the additional resistance from that. So it can be pretty difficult to deal with, even if he's not able to actually stick to one of these slippery targets like that Xayah, who does have cleanse.
With second items done for a lot of champions on the Rift right now, we're working towards those thirds. You can see Dhokla getting closer to the Collector as NRG are bringing him and everybody else mid. Golden Guardians just defending with the 3. It's that 1-3-1 you were talking about. Jax up top, Yone in bottom. Huhi and River's job is to make sure that Stixxay can clear the waves and all 3 of them can stay safe. That's it.
Yep, pretty much. Just trying to buy time for him. And Stixxay, on this Kai'Sa, he's playing the AP variant. He has Lost Chapter, so he is going to be going towards that Ludens. And it's just going to be a lot about fishing for poke, right? He's going to be sitting back, just firing out these Ws. It's extremely non-committal. You can be multiple screens away from your opponents. And when you get to those 3-4 item marks, if you tag a squishy, that can be 30-40% of your HP just completely gone.
And I like how you mentioned a squishy because Azir and Xayah, no MR. Gangplank, no MR. Poppy, no MR. There's a lot of good targets for those Void Seekers. And NRG, they've started up the Baron already. They got it down to 3K. They're summoning up the Gangplank ulti, and the Baron is secured by Contractz. Fate sealed onto 2, coming out from Gori, who immediately has to reset his position. Contractz and Dhokla with a flash back over the wall as FBI has to do the same. Licorice can't chase him down. IgNar wants to disengage from huhi, and he pops the flash to do it. Golden Guardians were too slow, and NRG get the Baron without losing a man.
Yeah, that is a huge sneak there from NRG. Yes, Golden Guardians do eventually figure out that they're going for it. But between Azir, Gangplank, as well as Xayah, they killed that Baron so fast. I don't think they were really expecting it to go down that quickly. And then Contractz just uses ult for the disengage. Sure, they had to spend a bunch of flashes, but IgNar may be caught.
IgNar could be in trouble, but he still has the ulti, and now they're going to kill River instead. NRG with a nice counter engage. Remember that Gori does not have an ultimate, so the Yone is much less fearsome here in these big fights. NRG, they just killed the enemy jungler. They're ready to take the 3rd Drake of the game. The game was looking really rough there for a while, Isaac, but right now, things have been great in these last 60 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. It's starting to look a little bit rough for Golden Guardians, to be honest, because now it is NRG, 1 dragon from Soul. They're sitting on that Soul point. They have the Baron buff to work with here. And things are going to be a lot more difficult now for this Golden Guardians squad. It was a very aggressive call from NRG to just go straight for the Baron, to commit for the finish. They were able to pull it off, get a couple kills after it, and now there's a lot of standing gold on the map, right? There's 2 tier 1 towers still up here 24 minutes in, so very likely they're going to knock down a couple turrets, and the gold lead's probably going to be pretty much gone.
This is not good for Golden Guardians, because especially with these champions like Jax, like Nautilus, like I was talking about, they don't really have a way to do stuff without committing. Nautilus needs to dredge it. Most of his abilities are pure melee. Sure, you can use the depth charge and try to secure an engage from range, but any follow-up you do, it's pure melee. Jax, he's pure melee. Yone, yeah, he has his E, which may or may not be balanced, and he can get back out, but he still needs to go in.
He has a sword, which is melee.
Right, he's got 2 of them.
True.
So
backup sword.
For a team that really just wants to go in, if you start to lose control, if you start having to play on that back foot, you're quickly in a spot in the game where it's, okay, guys, if we make one bad call, it's doomed.
Yeah, because your comp can only engage, right? And if you can't win the fights after you engage,
it's like, well,
what do we do now, guys? Play side lane. So that is the other option. River's going to be forced out. They do get the flash off of him. His energy is just kind of death-balling, but it's a TP coming in. Licorice is spotted, so is Gori.
Palafox already lost Crown of the Shattered Queen because of the Void Seeker earlier, coming in from Stixxay, and now the engage finds Contractz. FBI's up into the air, the feathers fly, but FBI's gone. A double kill for Stixxay. Dhokla at least gets one back, popping Gori on the back end of the fight. Golden Guardians get their moment.
Yeah, great engage there. It was a lot of time bought by Palafox with his stopwatch. He would have insta-died otherwise, and they're able to chunk down Gori very low so that when he finally snaps back after using his stopwatch of his own, Dhokla was just camping on that spirit, waiting for him.
Yeah.
Is able to get the kill.
Now Golden Guardians aren't done. River's up really far. IgNar takes a lot of damage, but River takes more. That's 1 kill. Traded back for 1 kill as huhi and River both drop for IgNar, making a 2-for-1 for NRG as Stixxay disengages from the barrels. Dhokla's very, very scary now, man. He's got that collector fully completed 3rd item, another BF in inventory. If the barrel crits, you are taking serious damage.
Yeah, it gets really scary this late in the game. You know, he's level 16, so, you know, there's very low cooldown on those barrels. He's got a lot of CDR purchased up as well between the Essence Reaver as well as the Navori Quick Blades, and he has the CDR boots, so can be tough. I do think River is getting a little bit kind of fast and loose with his positioning in these fights, but we can see the Azir ult was used early. Licorice just flashes over it. Palafox goes in the stopwatch, so Licorice commits the stopwatch of his own, and this is what I was talking about. Dhokla's just camping out. Not much more Gori could do. He kills the barrel, but the auto attack snaps you down, so you were always going to die at the end of this. But at the end of the day, they do kill off Azael as well. Stixxay now 6-0-2, finished the Ludens off that, got a large rod as well, so now working towards the death gap. So quietly, Stixxay is getting really, really fed. You know, he's nearly 60 CS ahead of FBI, which is a very big deal at this point of the game. Very likely is the richest in the game. Let's actually check on that. Yeah, just barely above where Dhokla is, because Dhokla is obviously, you know, cheating a little bit with the passive money. Yeah. But still is actually richer than the GP, at least right now. So is going to be a massive threat in these team fights if they cannot lock him down.
And you can see right there on your screen just how frustrating it can be playing against this Kai'Sa build if she can dial in those Void Seekers. The cooldown getting reduced because of the evolution turns it into the true ARAM Kai'Sa experience where you're just playing dodgeball with these things the whole time. And I pointed it out in the last fight, but I gotta say it again. It's crucial when he can land those onto Palafox specifically before the fight because of what we were talking about earlier. Get rid of the crown. Make it so when the Jax and the Yone are diving in, that damage is at full effect.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to be able to kill this guy off, you know, right at the start of the fight with that initial engage. He has actually upgraded the broken stopwatch, though, into a Zonia, so Palafox is very defensive with his itemization. But I don't think it's incorrect in a game like this. With Jax, Nautilus, Leona, and Yone, there's so many tools that they have to dive on you. Xayah is just kind of naturally pretty evasive with the ulti and with the cleanse, so Xayah is not going to be the main target. It's almost always going to be Azir. So I do think Palafox needs to build somewhat defensive in this. And there's also a massive damage threat from their top lane. It's not as though he's playing a 2-threat comp and building full defensive. He's got a full damage GP up on the top side, which means he can afford to go a little bit less optimized as far as his damage is concerned.
Right. Golden Guardians now have to deal with the mid lane Azir turret summoned up by NRG. That'll at least give them a little bit more control as they try to jockey for position for this Drake. It is massive if NRG gets it. They're still down 2,000 gold, but the power spike of a soul is generally evaluated around 4,000 or 5,000 gold, depending on which one it is. So that will definitely swing things for them. Golden Guardians, it's not nearly as big of a thing to get it for themselves. It's a nice little damage boost, but it's all about just stopping NRG from having it. Voidseeker lands onto Dhokla, poke down to about 1/3 before the fight starts. Gori's coming in, looking for the damage here onto the Pirate. Fate Seal, but it's only going to find the guy right in front of him. River's still trying to fight back here for this Infernal Soul, but if they burst down the Golden Guardians jungler, NRG's going to take the soul for free. Dhokla goes back in and he finds the flash assassination.
Licorice is here.
Back onto Gori. Licorice is ready to go. Counter-strike onto 2. Stixxay jumps into the middle, but he's going to be shut down. Dhokla's got his gun, baby. Licorice takes out FBI, and now Contractz and IgNar have to try to fight back. It's Palafox and Dhokla going up against Licorice, who goes golden, but it ain't going to matter a whole lot. The counter-strike's about to drop, but Palafox is golden too. NRG just made trophies into the Golden Guardians. It's a 5-for-1, and they got the soul.
NRG come up huge at the Dragon. They outplayed the team fight. Another critical ultimate there from Contractz. I think he was able to knock Stixxay back at the beginning of the fight, which really delayed things for Golden Guardians. And we can listen into the team comps for this one.
Like better that we're all together was really good.
Yeah, beginning was really good, but not sure.
Good job, guys. Nash Dragon, okay? Kill this guy, kill this guy. That flash?
What?
You guys got it. Nice!
Nice.
Great top fight, actually.
Yeah, we just saw the kind of final moments there. I think we were also hearing Golden Guardians at the same time because they heard Stixxay. But those were the energy comms from the end of that team fight. Also was big that, you know, it was in the picture-in-picture. Licorice was actually fighting with Palafox up around that tier 2. He went over to try to steal the enemy red buff, and Palafox chunked him very low. So Licorice had to actually base before he could TP to the fight, because he was chunked down to about 30-40% by Palafox on that Azir. If he had been there at the very beginning of the fight when Gori went in, procced the GA, and did all that stuff, it could have looked pretty different.
So, worth pointing out, the guy who topped the charts in that last one was Dhokla, over 6,000 damage done in the fight. The Gangplank is now full build. 6 items done on this champion. Dhokla has the ability to end the game with the rest of NRG right here. They're baroned up, they're pushing down the mid lane, they got a 4,000 gold lead and an Infernal Soul in pocket. They'll take out the mid lane inhib with no contest from the Golden Guardians. You can see Licorice pushing out bottom lane as Gori look for something here up in the top side. Voidseeker finds FBI. But with IgNar now in front of him, they probably won't be able to mark him with a second one. Okay, IgNar gets tagged by that one. Stixxay is just going to keep shooting these off. Golden Guardians know that their opponents are going to be looking for this top lane here next. Licorice ready to rejoin the team. Does not have the Unleashed teleport, so if they want to fight, Licorice has to be there at the start. Gori, however, Unleashed TP still available. Same thing for Dhokla. Palafox still about a quarter of that timer left on his.
Yeah, this is going to get pretty difficult, I think, for Golden Guardians to defend. I feel like they should just give up the outer towers, just accept that they kind of have that loss, and try to wait for the perfect angle, because you are down a lot of gold and you're down soul right now. It needs to be a perfect team fight. With that engage, everything has to go right, or I think they're just going to get deleted and the game is going to end.
Minion wave, ready to crash into the tier 3, and Contractz is ready to knock these guys away. Gori is knocked all the way back, but the Soul Unbound will return him to the battlefield. Not in time to save the turret, though, as the second inhibitor of the game for Golden Guardians is now under threat. Voidseeker blocked by the minions, so FBI is still at full HP here on the Xayah, too. No Q3 charged up for Gori anymore, as NRG will take their second inhibitor of the game.
Yeah, nicely done. I think it is the right decision for Golden Guardians. I mean, it's going to be a really hard game to win from here. It's extremely unlikely that they do. But I think if you fight from that position, you're pretty much just guaranteed to lose. You need to be coming from multiple angles. You need to have your Jax as well as your Yone into the back line to be able to get that perfect fight. Because if you don't insta-kill someone at the beginning of the fight, you're just not going to win from this position. So it's a tough decision to make, but because they lost that soul fight, they are now facing some really difficult choices.
Yeah, the Soul fight led to the Baron, and there's a lot of different kinds of Baron in League of Legends. There's some really good ones, and there's some, okay, I guess we got that type of Barons. But that one resulted in the base being broken in 2 separate lanes, 2 inhibitors now being down. You can see that it's going to be Elder Drake here in 2.5 minutes, and the inhibitors controlling the super minions on the farthest parts of the map are the ones that are down. That's ideal for NRG, forcing Golden Guardians to come out of their base to try to contest that. Because, look, if the game's already already feeling doomed now, when you have the super deleting Elder laser just guaranteeing a team fight win, it's unplayable.
It's absolutely unplayable, and I think that is where Golden Guardians are going to look for the contest. They're going to try to hope that they can actually get a big team fight win, steal the Elder, turn it around off of that. But NRG, wants to preempt it. They don't want to give them time. They're pushing up here. And Contractz going to use the ulti just for a disengage, or at least to threaten it. And they just get the tower for free.
They knock River away. There's the front line of the Golden Guardians would want to be leading the charge. IgNar sidesteps away from the Void Seeker. Solar Flare just immediately getting the cleanse out of FBI, but no further threat. Golden Guardians don't have a lot of tools left to really work with here, I feel like. NRG continuing to push up, using these minions as a shield against the Void Seekers from Kai'Sa. Barrels from Dhokla also doing a great job here with the zone control. Licorice jumps in, Counter-Strike used there, and now that it fades, FBI's ready to step back up. Void Seeker on Palafox to poke him out here a little bit, but a lot of damage back onto Licorice. Void Seeker misses that time as the Gangplank ulti's brought down right on top of where the Golden Guardians want to engage. IgNar's on the front, soaking damage from everybody as huhi has to flash away, and FBI's got him with the auto. Contractz goes for the flash, wallbang angle, and he finds River. Golden Guardians only have 3 men standing, and NRG have a full 5. They got 3 lanes of super minions ready to march onto the Nexus turrets. Health bars might be a little dicey, but I think they've got all they need to finish this one off. Dhokla, they're going to proc the Immortal Shield Bow, taking low. Stixxay jumps in. Contractz wants to stop him. Palafox summoning up a couple of soldiers here now into the stasis. Licorice picks up the kill back on IgNar. Contractz and Dhokla looking to finish off the Nexus. Licorice fighting for his life, but his life is forfeit. It's NRG taking the win and taking down Golden Guardians.
What a game from NRG here, coming back against Golden Guardians, who look to be in control of this one for a long time. Established themselves a pretty large gold lead in the mid game, but NRG made some really great calls, had the commitment to those dragons, were able to stack that towards Soul. They snuck an early Baron, which I think really was one of the biggest parts of this game. Being able to take that away, being able to lose no members on this snuck Baron, bought so much time for them to be able to scale into this one.
Awesome comeback there from NRG, and with the game all wrapped up, let's send it down to Mark for more.
Thank you very much, Captainflowers. Going to be grabbing an interview in a second here, but that's a huge win for NRG. Their first 3-0 week of the season so far. Dhokla, before you get too far away, I'm actually going to talk to you right off the jump here. GP, bit of a rough early game. They were focusing you quite a bit, but you scaled up. How'd you feel that game?
I mean, it felt personal. He was just ganking me, blowing my flash, and then he was really just like hex flashing, looking for any time where they influence the top lane. But I persevered.
You definitely persevered. You had a monster team fight. I don't know if you heard, but this is your first 3-0 week. You guys had never ended a week with a winning record, but you've now climbed to 8-7. How is the team atmosphere feeling? Did you guys get down before and it's been a rally, or you always have confidence?
I think once we were on like a losing streak, like every week was 1-2, 1-2. It was kind of taking a toll on us because the way we were losing the games was really bad. But now, I mean, it's still like chill vibes now,
You can definitely chill because you just clinched playoffs, so congratulations on that one. Talk to me a little bit about this top lane stuff. The GP coming in, there's been a lot more counter picks. People have been spamming Renekton, then you start seeing Rumble and all these kinds of things. What do you think of the top lane meta right now?
I mean, Rumble is just so OP, so it's like, I don't know like what Riot did there, but after that, I think it's like counter pick centric. I think Renekton's a good blind, but this guy plays Jax, and then he banned Renekton for it, so just pick whatever is next. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Definitely good to hear that. We're coming up to the end of the season. All-Pro voting going on, MVP voting going on. Obviously, your first team All-Pro. Who else has stood out to you this season as having a good time in the top lane?
I think, okay, if you look at like the first 15 minutes, I think Summit's like the clear #1. And then after 15 minutes, you just don't want to look at that. Yeah. Outside of that, I think like Stixxay was playing well. I think Berserker was playing well. I don't know. It's pretty like who's the most valuable for their team is have like the best player in the league, because I think you can't tell exactly who's the best player in the league right now, but people are valuable to their team. So I think it's individually on the team like who brings the most value to them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the interview. A nice 3-0. First time this time, beating the first place team as well in Golden Guardians. Congratulations. So thank you so much for the interview. That's going to do it for us here. We'll see you guys after the break.
Welcome everybody to the huhi World Tour. He's going up against his teammates. He's already 1 for 1. You lost to Gori.
Like, he's my mid laner. I have to give him some confidence.
Okay, that's fair. But you beat Stixxay, so we'll take that.
Yeah.
And now you're going up against Licorice. What do you think about your chances, Licorice?
Really good.
Yeah? All right, what are you guys playing?
Let's go.
We're drafting full tryhard,
we're
like the
drafting.
All-Stars style, you know?
Okay, all right, this is different. Let's go.
This is the
Full
first
tryhard.
not handshake matchup that Huhi's done.
Yeah, let me just bend Rumble real quick.
Aphelios is gone.
Wait, didn't you beat Stixxay with Victor?
Wait,
Yeah, I did.
wait, what was the matchup?
It was Victor versus something.
It was Gnar, because you guys plus random.
Oh, yeah. And then, Renekton.
All right, how about I make you a deal here?
What?
Neither of us pick Nico.
Okay.
Okay?
No one picks Nico.
Yeah, no Nico.
So it's the seventh ban.
Yeah. Nico is the 7th ban.
Wait, Huhi, do you have the hands for all these bans? Draven, Aphelios, Kai'Sa?
You know, like they're banning it because they're scared of it. Like,
Licorice, you still do a lot of
Oh my
1v1s for like practice?
What is
Xayah?
Xayah
versus Rek'Sai?
no, but whenever Eric was playing Rek'Sai on in scrims, he was popping off. We'll just watch top and then he'll be like 1v2ing, 1v3ing. Like in the beginning when he said
there was a
Rek'Sai,
nice highlight reel
yeah.
where they tried to 4-man gank me and I took like 5 tunnels in a row to get out.
Tris, you trust me?
No.
I trust you.
I don't trust you.
Oh. Oh no.
Oh, it's not looking good already.
Uh-oh.
Oh my god.
Oh!
Oh.
Oh!
Oh, 1 for 1. We're tied up.
It's 2 kills, right?
Yes, up to 2 kills.
First to 2.
That's crazy.
That was an opener.
How come I have a bounty? What's the deal with that?
Wait, no, I have a bounty too, 450 gold.
Oh, you do? I just don't see you yet.
Wait, how come my wave is bad?
It's like Jaws. Dun-dun.
No way.
Okay.
There's the kiting.
All right.
Actual little Xayah mechanics.
Time to roll swap to AD carry.
Goodbye, tunnel. I'll juke it. Oh.
Oh, this is close.
No, I'm sorry.
He's so fast.
Oh no, I'm dead!
Oh my god.
Oh no.
All right.
You know, like, it's a trend. I'm trying to lose to my solo and nurse because they're the important people.
Was this even a challenge?
Yeah, we won for 1 at the start. I
Okay.
was surprised. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe next time you will actually 1v1 them on stage. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. That was the 1v1. And that's it for now.
Who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Hmm?
Typical beginner's mistake. Yes, they all start from the outside. So, will we help him? What else? Here, try it with Red Bull. Red Bull gives you wings.